Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. Tonight, we are just talking about some fantasy football news that's happened, most of it from today, past few days, some of the top headlines, and what it means for fantasy football purposes. Luke Reimer is in the middle. If you are watching live, if you're listening to the audio podcast, go to the Flurry Sports YouTube channel. You can watch. Trevor Land is back on the right, was in our chat last night. Now he's back on camera, He's a little shy, but he's back with us today.
Back from his cheesecake party.
Yeah. Randy was super jacked about it. I hope you enjoyed it.
You better invite Randy to your next one. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, you have to. Randy, let us know where you are. And then
Randy, let me know what state to send the letter to.
Perfect.
Perfect. I am Zach Bruner, and I just want to ask you, if you're listening to the audio podcast, subscribe to the podcast feed so you don't miss any shows. We're going to start having possibly multiple shows per day, a bunch during the week, so you don't want to miss any of them. So subscribe after the show, rate the podcast as well, 5 stars, please do that. And then we'll talk to you about some other stuff at the end that you can do, little things that you can do that'll help us out. But for now, let's just talk about some football. And we'll start with the biggest headline of the day, and that's the Joe Burrow injury. Non-contact injury. He was already wearing a sleeve on, I believe it was his right leg, rolling out during the play, and something popped, it looked like. He came up weird, went down to the ground. It's being called a calf strain right now. I can only imagine there's already something wrong with the calf if he was wearing a sleeve on it already. But it seems like he dodged a major concern, a major injury. It's just a calf strain is what it's being called at the current moment. And yeah, so I expect him to be back week 1. However, when do you guys think he's going to be back? I can't imagine he comes back much earlier than week 1.
Yeah, probably week 1, right? Week 1's probably the earliest. I was just said I can't imagine that, given that he can come back before week 1, I think, Zach Taylor's going to have some big hesitancy. Put him out on the practice field, put him out in scrimmage, put him out in preseason games. Not that he's going to play in preseason games, but it almost feels like Joe Burrow's football activities are done till week 1, right?
I don't know why you would bring him back,
Right.
Especially just because, there really isn't many new moving parts to this offense. So they should be on the same page. There's some offensive line stuff, but Joe Burrow can do. He can do the cadence even. He can do stuff like that. While I just had to look up the depth chart. Trevor Siemian's the backup there, so they actually have a decent backup. I think Trevor Siemian's an all right football player. If for some reason this becomes major, though, it's probably Carson Wentz that's going to be coming to Cincinnati. I don't know who else would go there, but we don't need to talk about that at the current moment. But Trevor, we saw the injury. You saw the injury. You saw what happened. I'm surprised how quickly the injury diagnosis came out.
That's what I thought.
It was minutes. But how are you feeling? What were you feeling about it? What's your major takeaways from a calf strain for Joe Burrow?
I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, I think long-term ramifications, he already has a sleeve. He's not going to be playing until week 1. There's just no reason, especially with playing the Browns week 1. You kind of need both calves to run away from Myles Garrett, just my opinion. But he's got, pretty much a month and a half here until week 1. He should be fine. These guys have the best medical staff probably in the world in terms of, being an NFL player. So he's going to be rehabbing it constantly. It wasn't something where obviously they were hoping they were holding their breath, but it wasn't something where it looked like Armageddon out there where you're like, oh shit, we just lost our season. So for that, I'm not too worried about it. And, as for the cart thing, everybody uses carts. Like, there's no point in having them walk on it. So I don't think the cart did
No.
anything extra like some people think it did.
No, in training camp, everybody goes off on a cart because you're not taking them to the sideline. You're taking them to the locker room. So, yeah, everyone goes on a cart. But it's a little concerning for me just that it had to have already been hurt. There's already something wrong, right? And I'm sure he pushed to practice and which injured it or whatever. So, re-injury possibly. Like there's some concern here, I think. I believe the same leg that he blew his knee out. I think it's the same leg. So there could there's other issues that could arise during the season. It sucks. And, this is an important ramp up period. It really is. Like he could start the season slow. I don't think the Bengals as a whole are going to start super slow, but I don't know. I think this is a big enough of a red flag for me to at least be like, oh, this isn't the quarterback I'm going to reach for, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that. I'm kind of in between you guys, Zach. Kind of sounds like you're on the path of, if it kind of there's a little smoke. There may be some fire there. It's just something to monitor. I'm kind of with you on that. Trevor, I also agree with you. I don't necessarily think that Joe Burrow's career is derailed. I don't think Cincinnati's season is derailed or anything like that. But I think you do need to proceed with caution, especially if you're doing fantasy drafts really quickly here during training camp. I would say proceed with caution on Joe Burrow if that's a reason that you that you don't you like if you're like Zach, if that's the reason you don't want to take him, you don't want to reach for him. I completely support that. I totally understand that as well. I don't know if I've turned into like a fantasy drone from playing fantasy football for so many years of my life. But you guys will relate to this. As soon as I heard the Joe Burrow news, I went and picked up Trevor Siemian in one of my dynasty leagues, solely for the fact that it's super flex league and all of the other quarterbacks are gone. So I think that's a play here too for fantasy.
Yeah, I think you have to at least talk about it. Currently, right now, Joe Burrow's going as the 4th quarterback. That's 35th overall. And I guess, like I said, to me, now it feels like there's a tier of Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. And then I feel like Joe Burrow is his own tier for me personally, just because of the risk involved. After him is Lamar Jackson, who I'm never going to reach for Lamar Jackson because of his injury stuff. Then it's Justin Fields. I feel like he's going a little bit early. Justin Herbert's after that, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. So I feel like if I end up with one of those top 3 quarterbacks, I feel good. But if I don't, I'm really waiting now at this point. I just don't need to reach. You brought up Myles Garrett, who I personally believe is the best defensive lineman in football. There's TJ Watt in the division. Mm-hmm. You got a bunch of psychos in Baltimore. Like he's going to have to be on the move. I know the Bengals upgraded their tackles quite a bit. However, it's still the Bengals. It's still Zach Taylor calling plays. He's a lot like Matt LaFleur, where he doesn't know how to call plays for the offensive line, which is a thing. There's ways to game plan around stuff. And I feel like Joe Burrow is going to be put in situations like he still got hit last year. So I don't know. I'm probably making a bigger deal out of it than I need to, but I'm looking for reasons not to draft a quarterback early.
Sure.
And he gave me one.
Yeah, I know Trevor's big on that too.
Yeah. Anything else about Joe Burrow before we move on to a couple other injuries that happened today?
I don't think so. The NFL is a better place with Joe Burrow in it.
Agreed. So 2 other injuries happened. One more significant than the other. We'll start easy with Garrett Wilson. Sounds like he sprained his ankle pretty good in terms of like it could be a significant one. We don't really know yet. But I mean, I saw that Hard Knocks video of Garrett Wilson, the teaser, and he was already getting like flung across the field.
They're going hard at Jets practice right now.
Yeah, they're going hard. He has like no concern for his body.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another guy where I'm like, okay, I kind of hope we don't see him for a while.
Right.
Because if he gets hurt there, yeah, he's so good at football. Mm-hmm. But turning an ankle, I'll look up where he's going in drafts right now. I'm not downgrading him at all at the current moment, but again, we kind of have to see. Like, if he's out until week 1, those are really meaningful snaps in a brand new offense with a brand new quarterback that he's going to be missing.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree. I also, don't hate. Like, of course, you want to see guys on the field, but in terms for fantasy, I don't hate if he's out a while and that slides down his ADP a little bit. Zach, I'm with you. I fucking love Garrett Wilson. He's an awesome football player. And I know it's probably just Aaron Rodgers saying it, but like Aaron Rodgers comparing him to Devontae Adams, it doesn't feel like Rodgers takes Devontae Adams too lightly. So I think I'm like all in on Garrett Wilson. It sucks to hear that he has a pretty bad sprained ankle is what it sounds like. But if that makes his ADP slide, I'm for it.
True.
And in the words of Charles Barkley, bad sprained ankle is worse than childbirth. So you know how bad it is. Shout out Charles Barkley. But yeah, I mean he's a great wide receiver. Obviously, we'll get to the news with Jalen Ramsey with him going down. There's some good corners in this division, don't get me wrong, but Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, I think that's going to be, I don't think anybody can stop that duo. So if he comes back, that's great. But to your point, I mean, I know he's gotten a decent amount of reps with Rodgers. He's going to get to know Rodgers. That's great. But he's going to also miss reps now that are very important because Rodgers, I would assume, isn't playing in the preseason at all. That would just be a waste of time. So he will miss some reps, which is big. But kind of to Luke's point, if he starts dropping, I'm taking him up immediately. No second questions about it.
Week from today, Hall of Fame game. Trevor, would it blow your mind if Rodgers just started in that game? Like Saleh just put out the ones.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, it'd be great.
It would be very surprising. Currently in PPR leagues, Garrett Wilson's going 10th among wide receivers as 20th overall. Immediately after him is a tier of players that I have a lot of questions about. So immediately after him is Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Chris Olave, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. So if he starts dropping below any of those guys, I'm going to take him.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't come back until week 1.
Yep.
There's another injury we'll talk about in a second, but King in the chat, this is a story we did have written down, so we'll just jump to it. Dalvin Cook is visiting the Jets, visiting the Patriots. I feel like it's every other stream we talk about running backs. I've been saying that I would be surprised if Dalvin Cook is not a New England Patriot, him or Kareem Hunt. And so I still believe Dalvin Cook's going to be a Patriot. I just do. It just, from everything I've heard and seen, it makes too much sense to me. But King's question for the people listening to the audio podcast is, where would you be comfortable taking Dalvin Cook if he ends up with the Jets? Which would be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one, rich get richer, good for them. But Breece Hall is so good at football, and Dalvin Cook is still very good at football. So where would you take him? Currently, Dalvin Cook is going 19th among running backs in PPR leagues. That's 45th overall. And Breece Hall is going 11th, which is 25th overall. I would downgrade Dalvin Cook for sure based on where he's going right now. To be completely honest, I would probably put him under Rashad White. Rashad White's currently going 26th among running backs, and that's 63rd overall. So I would put him in that 65 to 75 range, I think, personally.
Yep. I was going to say, RB 19, no chance they're going to finish RB 19 in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense with Breece Hall there as well. So Zach, I'm totally with you. I might even put him lower than Rashad. Really, it's right in that territory. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Breece Hall is going to get his. The passing game is going to get theirs. What is there left for Dalvin Cook? Like at week to week, the only relevance I can see is scoring touchdowns because he's not going to get enough passing work in PPR to keep him afloat. So, and I don't even know what he gets you in boom bust. I mean, he's a great talent. I'm not saying he isn't, but just a week to week workload, I don't know why. I don't think it's there. And I don't know why he'd go to New York other than to ring chase.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because he would clearly be number 2, I think, behind Breece Hall.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at that point, it's tough. Where would I take Breece Hall? Probably would be the next question. And that would be super frustrating if this happens. I don't think it will. But I would probably put Breece Hall around Jahmyr Gibbs, actually.
Yeah.
I would put him below.
Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, so that 16-17 range amongst running backs, I think.
I like it around Aaron Jones. That's a good spot.
Yeah. Don't think it'll happen. Hope it doesn't happen. I think he'll sign with the Patriots. If he signs with the Patriots, then that downgrades Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson's currently going running back 10, which is 22 overall. And I would probably put both of them very close to each other if he signs there.
I think I hate Ramondre Stevenson if he signs there.
I for sure won't touch him.
Yeah.
And he'll for sure get drafted ahead of Cook still.
Yeah.
I you know what's interesting is, like, a lot of times with free agents at this time of year, people are wanting to draft early, do best ball drafts and take them because they're just going to rise up afterwards. We saw it with DeAndre Hopkins. Even though he went to a perceived terrible place, he's still rising, I believe. Leonard Fournette and Kareem Hunt are 2 popular picks at the end of best ball drafts because they're going to rise. Mm-hmm. It feels like wherever Dalvin Cook goes, he's going to fall.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
It's because there's not a lot of starting running back positions open right now.
True. But so the teams, it appears, that are in the running would be the Patriots, which might be the best spot, the Dolphins, the Jets, there's another big Bills is another big one. Probably those 4. Unless an injury happens, obviously, and opens up a spot. It feels like those are the 4, and all of them, it's a very clear committee.
Right.
Like there's no place where he's going to be featured. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. Good question, though, King. And maybe we'll talk about Dalvin Cook in a little bit as well. But the other injury that happened today, and it's more serious, and we still don't have any real clarity around it. Jalen Ramsey got carted off with a knee injury down in Miami. This is a defense that's looked very, very, very good, especially under Fangio at defensive coordinator. And Ramsey, all signs point to him not being ready no matter what for the start of the season. But this is a guy also, I know, Trevor, you're critical of him. I still think he's a good player. He's very clearly slowed down over the past few years. So now, if he comes back off of a knee injury and he plays this year at all, I think this is a guy that probably could get picked on, at the very least to drop penalties from. Like, he's going to be a physical corner no matter what. I think he probably projects better as a safety at this point in his career, to be completely honest. And maybe this is the catalyst for that change. But now, all of a sudden, Miami is not really a massive threat if they only have the one corner. So Aaron Rodgers, maybe all the wide receiver 2s maybe in that division go up a little bit. I think this is something actually we do need to take into account for fantasy because he is such a relevant player on a relevant team.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. I agree with you 100%. And just to your point about maybe he comes back and this is, starts to slow down a little bit. I mean, Ramsey's I mean, he I don't want to say he gets beat a lot, but he's been beat. He gets beat playing physical, and whatever that's worth, he's making a great career out of it. Congratulations to him. But Zach, I'm with you. If you're going to play physical hurt, that screams to me targets to those number 2 receivers, right? Especially, I don't know why offensive coordinators wouldn't attack him. I guess he's Jalen Ramsey would be the reason, but if he's not Jalen Ramsey, go after him. But I'm thinking guys like probably a huge bump to Gabe Davis, right? Probably a huge bump to, anyone else in the division, like even someone like maybe a Garrett Wilson, anyone like that. Like, these are huge bumps to these guys in the division. So I'm totally with you. Like, does that boost Gabe Davis' stock? Maybe a little bit, to be honest. If you're getting two games a year against the Dolphins. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it definitely needs to be monitored for fantasy reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting that Schefter had the tweet out saying he'll undergo knee surgery and is expected, to miss the start of the regular season, but like his ACL is intact. Like usually you'd think like there'd be a pretty clear timeline there. There isn't one. Yeah, I mean, I don't. He has to slow down. He's also not getting any younger. He's not old, but he's also not getting any younger. And I mean, who's the one quarterback that has routinely picked him apart time after time when he's played him? Aaron Rodgers. Granted, Aaron Rodgers is only going to play him twice this year, most likely, in the fantasy season for sure. But um, he's there are good quarterbacks in that division, and they certainly won't be throwing at Howard on the other side if Ramsey's even lost a half a step. So the two receivers too should go up, but we'll see how much because they still have a really good cornerback in Cam Smith there, right, Zach?
I forgot he's there. Oh boy, pick on him. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the reports that have come out. People are being really weird in the way they're reporting this. Someone's saying 68 week timetable here for him. Some are saying he's out months, but no one's saying what it is. So this is actually, I think I know somebody who I might be able to check on that can give us some clarity. Maybe I'll send a text here actually during the show, see what happens. But what this sounds like to me, just reading the tea leaves, is a meniscus issue. And if that's the case, I didn't see the play where he went down, so I don't know exactly everything that happened. But if it's a meniscus issue, you can very clearly come back from that. His start-stop's going to be really weird, though, which obviously for corner is a very, very massive thing. But yeah, Alan Lazard can fly. People kind of forget how athletic he is. Mecole Hardman is going to be matched up on people on the outside. He can run. I mean, there's some other good receiver. Maybe Dalton Kincaid, honestly. I don't know. So, yeah, I think the Dolphins all of a sudden look a little bit weaker. And it's interesting for betting and eventually for fantasy once we get into individual matchups for DFS and stuff like that. We'll check on it.
Yeah. Meniscuses are weird, aren't they? Tear meniscus. Yeah. It's a really wide timetable. Sometimes it feels months, right? And then you get guys like Ron Artest 12 days later was playing basketball again. Not that basketball and football are the same or anything, but it's crazy to see, how, not that this is fantasy relevant or anything, but it's crazy to see how different people's knees react and, where their career trajectories kind of take off, where some guys come back instantly and don't miss a beat and other guys can't recover at all.
Well, it's Ron Artest. Who else is going to be punching fans in the stands?
Facts. Decapitating James Harden.
Okay, so he needs a full meniscus repair.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's probably then torn completely.
Right.
When you talk about those days coming back within a week, 2 weeks or whatever, Blake Griffin, I know, did that as well. It's because they go in with such a microscopic thing, literally the incision's that on there. There's nothing that needs to be healed on the outside.
Right.
Essentially. And it's just cleanup procedures usually when it's days like that. They're just taking away the stuff that keeps rubbing and causing fluid buildup on the knee and stuff like that. But if it's a complete tear, then it's 2 flaps. So then they have to completely put a mesh in there or do something like that to put it back together. So yeah, 6 weeks is very, very optimistic. I don't think there's any shot. So we're looking after Halloween, maybe.
Yeah, shout out surgeons, man. How do you even know how to do any of that stuff?
Dude.
Let's not give them too many shout outs. I think there's some crazy stat about how many people die per year from them leaving shit in people. That's
you get
breaks a little bit.
Well, let's look at it the other side. How many people are saved a year from surgeons?
True.
It's fair.
True. Yeah.
Cam Smith certainly was.
There's a good Family Guy skit where Dr. Harbin drops his cell phone into I think it's into Peter.
Maybe that'll happen. Never.
Right.
But yeah, so that's something interesting. And yeah, he's going to be out for a while then. Let's go to another team in the division. Let's talk about the Bills. Bills offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey was talking about James Cook. Talked very highly about him, talked about his versatility, super excited about his versatility and how he has every down potential this year. And we've been very critical about James Cook. And at least for me, I don't know about you. I won't speak about you guys. For me, it's never been talent. I think he's a good player. So I hear this And on paper, in my brain tells me like it makes sense, everything he's saying. This should be truthful, everything he's saying. Like, I don't know how it wouldn't be truthful. But then my gut just tells me, like, you're not going to pick up a Bills running back. Just don't do it. So
Well,
what are you guys thinking here?
right, especially like there's a reason they signed Damian Harris, right? There's a reason, and I'll always go back to saying Josh Allen takes red zone touchdown, but Damian Harris is about as good as anyone of getting 1 yard to fall into the end zone in the NFL. So it's if he looks great, still a 3 down back, it still doesn't scream touchdowns to me.
True.
There's a reason you always check your gut and listen to your gut feeling, because it's most of the time always right. I think, not to mince words or anything, you're an absolute sucker if you take a Bills running back. I love both these guys talent wise. I think they're both great players. Clearly, I've been on the Damian Harris bandwagon for a while, but I mean, we've just seen this before. To your point, Luke, Josh Allen scores a touchdown. Now you had Damian Harris. I mean, if Josh Allen isn't scoring the touchdown, it's sure as hell him. So now James Cook, he has to break off a 10 to 20 yard rush to get in the end zone. He can do it. He's got the talent, but that's not going to be happening enough for him to be on my team.
I'm getting stats up here. I'm just gonna make the case for him, and then you guys made the case against him. I'll build the case for him.
All right.
So ADP right now, James Cook is going running back 31, which is 80th overall in PPR. That is behind Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, Alvin Kamara, just ahead of AJ Dillon, Antonio Gibson, Jamal Williams, Brian Robinson. So I personally think there's some people ahead of him I do like more still, but there is nobody behind him who I think I would rather have. Now, Devin Singletary led the backfield last year. Where's my tweet? Devin Singletary had 65% of the snaps last year. James Cook had 25% of the snaps. So Devin Singletary out. A few other guys who got snaps out. Nyheim Hines obviously just got injured, out. It's Damian Harris there, but I don't think Damian Harris is a majority running back in this backfield. Like, I think, and what I tweeted, and I think it's probably a little bit closer than what I tweeted, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if James Cook got 65% of the snaps this year, which is what Singletary had last year. And then Harris has the 25% for this year. It might be closer to 60-35 with 5% somebody else or something. But I think regardless, James Cook is going to over double his time on the field. Okay. Now, just looking at where people finished last year this is PPR, right? Yep. In PPR, Devin Singletary finished as running back 23.
It's startable.
Yeah. At the very least, flex. James Cook was way lower. He was running back 44. Obviously, he didn't really do anything before the bye week, and then he finished strong. But if you just assume he takes the Devin Singletary role, that's the running back 23 role from last year, I think James Cook is just as talented, if not more talented, than Devin Singletary. And to me, then, that makes him a steal at running back 31, at the very least.
I don't disagree. Does this point mean anything to you? Is Damian Harris going to be more of a factor behind James Cook than James Cook was behind Devin Singletary last year?
I think he'll be more of a factor in the red zone.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's where a lot of points come from.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is still going to take carries in the red zone, which, again, that makes me – I mean, Damian Harris is we can't touch him this year.
Yeah.
Like what's his role? It might be in the red zone. Josh Allen's just going to pull it and run it in himself.
Yeah, I mean, Damian Harris is going to be when they get to the 10-yard line, first and goal from the 10, just to get 6 yards so Josh Allen can do the rest.
Right. But Devin Singletary was, what did I say, running back 23?
Yeah.
He was running back 23 with 5 rushing touchdowns last year and 1 receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
I think Cook could do that.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
To your point, I mean, I think you're right about the guys you listed ahead of him. I'm not taking Cook over any of them, but the guys you listed behind him, like, am I going to take AJ Dillon over James Cook? Hell no. Am I going to take Antonio Gibson, maybe there's a discussion there, but probably not. So I guess with his ADP where it is, I'm fine with him drafting him there, but I'm definitely not going to be happy about it. But I think his ADP seems pretty solid.
Yeah, the people I named ahead of him, I like them a decent amount, excluding Alvin Kamara. And if everything stays the same, people taken even earlier. I like James Cook more than Isaiah Pacheco. I like him more than James Conner, probably just because I think he's going to get hurt. We talked about that last night. I like him more than DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
And I might like him more than Cam Akers, who's currently going as running back 22.
Cam Akers is a bitch, so yes.
No. We're running Cam Akers back this year, guys.
No, we're not.
Yep.
No, we're not. He's dead.
Don't group me.
Dead is Jalen Ramsey's meniscus. He's dead.
I'm a Zach Evans guy.
Back. Yeah, I'm running Cam Akers back.
Okay. Well, I'm a Zach Evans guy.
You're a Zach Bruner.
Oh, you're right. Randy in the chat, does Cook go to the Jets? We already talked about that. I think he goes to the Patriots. Thoughts about Sean Payton, all the he's on
a heater.
Yeah, people are loving talking about Sean Payton. I detect no lies about what he said about Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, I kind of said that before Nathaniel Hackett coached a single game. I don't know why he's saying it though, other than like, this is a good team, and he's just trying to put confidence in his team, just trying to get all the stink out of there. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. He also said he'd be angry if they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, duh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, the good thing about all of it, it doesn't, like, if anybody paints him as a villain, he doesn't give a shit. So, like,
no.
He wasn't wrong. He's already a villain.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a Rex Ryan thing, but like kind of in the sense that like he can pretty much say whatever he wants and it really won't matter. Like it won't really affect his team negatively. Positively it could, negatively no.
I mean, he's just trying to just look at the team. And I know Luke's very critical of Russell Wilson, and let's just go with your opinion of Russell Wilson, which is, I assume, not talking as a football player, he's a cheesy, like, I don't know, like, how would you describe him? Like, he's not a leader he's a leader, but not in a football winning way.
He's like a hardo. He's try hard. Just be a cool person.
He's try hard, but he's cheesy. He's trying to be a movie character, and this isn't a fucking movie.
Just be a normal person.
So in terms of the whole lead by example, a lot of times you see, like in Detroit, Dan Campbell's team, like they're embodying that grit, that hard-nosed personality. Sean Payton maybe is just trying to get some fucking swagger on this football team. Like, we're good. You guys last year, that was a joke. That was pathetic. We're not doing that. You're with me now, and we're going to fucking go to the Super Bowl. Like, that's kind of what he's saying.
Well, I mean, it feels like ever since Von Miller left, they don't really have a guy to do that on that team. Agreed.
What's he up to?
Von? He's probably hanging with his chickens.
He does have a lot of chickens. Mm-hmm. That is true. I think it's a cover-up, but we'll see. Do the Bills make it to the AFC Championship game? No. Thin crust or deep dish? If I have to choose between the two, it's thin crust, I guess.
Yeah, deep dish pizza, I think, sucks.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of those two.
Liking deep dish is a mental issue. People need to get over. It's a hurdle.
I like real thin crust. Trevor, I agree 100%. I like real thin crust, like where there's barely any crust, or real thick stuffed crust.
Mm-hmm.
Had before our show yesterday, Luke, I had a craving. We got stuffed crust from Pizza Hut, which is so good. I haven't had that in probably since college. Yeah. It's been a long time.
Also, I've been seeing too much slander from my friends. Papa John's is solid. We need to stop acting like it.
It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
It's not horrible. It's not my first choice, but like the slander needs to cut out.
You're right. It's not bad enough where you need to talk shit about it.
True. I'd put it below, I think, all of them though. Like I don't think it's a worse product than Little Caesars, but it's more expensive.
Yeah, you're right about that.
They have a good new deal though. I got medium pizza and the garlic Parmesan sticks, like 10 of them for like $15. So
From Little
they're making
Caesars?
their way.
No, he's talking Papa John's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Little Caesars, $5.
You guys want an incredible pizza?
Sure.
Pepperoni, extra cheese, stuffed crust, Little Caesars.
Only if it has extra sauce too.
No, I hate sauce.
We're not gonna get down this rabbit hole again.
But you got to eat it with the cheesy jalapeno sauce too.
Okay.
Good pie.
Russell Wilson will always be better than Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
No.
Matt Ryan's not good at football.
Either is Russell Wilson.
Yes, he is.
Matt Ryan is he's a wannabe Phillip Rivers. Can't even get the kid part right. That's how I look at him.
Matt Ryan could certainly distinguish if he should kneel the ball or spike the ball in a Rose Bowl with the clock winding down.
That's
Hey,
very specific.
the refs lied to him.
No.
It was an inside job.
No, he probably was trying to be too corny. Oh, guys, we got time. I can even kneel at this point.
They needed the Pac-10 to win, so they didn't dissolve until 2023.
Fair.
Good point. Okay, let's get back to this. We don't need to talk about Dalvin Cook, James Cook. We talked about. Let's talk about Sam Laporta in Detroit. My favorite tight end coming out of the draft. We talked about him a bunch. I think we talked about him a little bit last night as possibly a sell high candidate during the season at some point. He is getting all the snaps he can handle. He's getting snaps for the first, second, and third teams.
Hell yeah.
This goes to what we talked about last night. They're running him into the ground.
Hell yeah.
Which is fine. Let's see what he could do. There's very few tight ends in as good of a situation as Sam Laporta already. Like, he is the tight end, the starting tight end. He can block, he can catch, he can run routes, he can do it all. And he's going to be a focal point in this offense, I think. I think he's going to see steady targets.
Yep.
I like him a lot for fantasy.
Yep, he's a big bodied guy, and I think I've talked about this on the show in the past, but like Jared Goff is not a big deep ball thrower. He'll take what the defense gives him, and Sam Laporta is a mismatch right in the middle of the field waiting to happen. So I'm with it.
Plus, Jameson Williams is out for 6 weeks. Clearly, the Lions have a hole. Clearly, they used it with whoever they could scrounge out from the local Walmart last year with the Zylstra brothers and Brock Wright, I think. They used the position, whether there's somebody good there or not, and they finally got somebody good there. I think they're probably going to take advantage.
I agree. Tight end 20. He's still going as tight end 20.
It's so disrespectful.
He'll for sure be a top 12 guy.
I'm pretty sure I am tight end 33. So for him to be tight end 20 is bad.
Yeah, man. He's going behind Gerald Everett, Jawan Johnson, who's the tight end 2 there now.
Oh.
Graham signs there. After Dawson Knox. Knox almost... Actually, I don't think he was. He wasn't drafted in our Warrior Bowl draft.
Yeah, no reason.
There's no reason Dawson Knox should be drafted.
I agree, but this is a tight end premium league. I think I drafted 4 tight ends, and it just shows how smart, unfortunately, the people I drafted with were.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was on the top of the draft board for this whole second half of the draft, essentially.
Yeah. And
I think that's correct in terms of don't take him. There really isn't a reason to. We talked about it yesterday. Like, why? There's no situation. At best, if Dalton Kincaid gets hurt, then he becomes inconsistent. Like, that's what you hope for, is Dawson Knox being inconsistent.
You're right, Zach. If Dalton Kincaid gets hurt, you get Dawson Knox from every single year he's already been in the NFL.
Yeah.
Dawson Knox is a healthier version of TJ Warren from the Pacers. Sure, every once in a while he's going to screw around and drop 50 on you. That's not going to be very often at all.
I'm a TJ Warren guy.
TJ Warren.
I am too, but
I'm not.
He hasn't played in like 5 years.
The only good game he's ever had in his whole career was YMCA ball in the bubble. Of course he's dropping 55.
Hey, he can ball.
It was pretty funny, though. That was good. Him and Jimmy Butler was good there for a couple of minutes. Good rivalry.
It was good. Bring it back. Not much else to say about Sam Laporta, though. Again, watch yesterday's show. Listen to yesterday's show with the strength of schedule, because I do think he still will be, even though I share all this love about him, I do love him this year. He will be a sell high candidate if he starts hot.
Absolutely. And to Randy's point, are the Lions getting too much hype? And I think that's the reason. The people fucking love the Lions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, it's, like you said, Zach, especially, the Lions are everyone's sleeper pick this year. That's a trend sleeper pick or trend, do some damage in the playoff pick. If that happens, I'm totally with you. Sell Sam Laporta very high.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to Cleveland here. 2 things happened that I wrote down. Let's talk about Jerome Ford. I said I would be surprised if he was the RB2 to start the year.
Are you surprised?
And it sounds like they're going to commit to it. I think it was their GM talked about him, said he improved a bunch this spring program in the offseason and stuff like that. And he, especially as a pass catcher, which obviously if you can get a good pass catcher to complement Nick Chubb, that's the way to do it. Nick Chubb needs even more carries than he's gotten at this point in his career.
Yep.
So maybe he'll use it, maybe he'll be used in that way. And then the other part, though, is Elijah Moore is getting used everywhere, including a ton out of the backfield, which, he's going to be a good receiver out of the backfield. He's essentially a receiver. So I think those 2 are kind of going to be in the committee approach. I think they will use Elijah Moore there. I don't think this is a smokescreen or anything like that. Yeah. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, it's really interesting, too, considering they just picked up Elijah Moore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen this enough. We haven't not really seen Elijah Moore in this role before. You guys know me. I'm always a big film guy. There's gonna be no film on this. It feels like Elijah Moore should work. It feels like Jerome Ford should work. I don't know if it's kind of a flash in the pan kind of thing this year, but like you said, Zach, Nick Chubb needs all the carries he can get. If you can get good production from these guys, that makes me love Nick Chubb that much more. But I think it's worth a look just for the kind of the mystery behind this.
Don't get me wrong, Chubb is a problem anyways, but if you can keep him even more fresh than years past, that's a scary thing for any defense. I don't think you can stop Chubb. You can only hope to contain him. I feel like him and Derrick Henry are the only 2 in that category of runners in the NFL.
Yeah.
I just had to look how the Jets used Elijah Moore's rookie year, because I do think they misused him a little bit, and he's been electric every time he's had the ball in his hands, and he is kind of built like a bowling ball, so I do think this just makes a lot of sense to use him out of the backfield. Apparently he ran 3 plays out of the backfield as a rookie, so technically he's done it a little bit before, but he was mostly played out wide, which again is kind of wild for a 5'10" football player.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if they can manufacture easy ways to get Elijah Moore the ball in his hands in open space, he again, if we're talking fantasy, how consistent is he going to be? Probably not at all. But I think it's something interesting to keep an eye on, because I do think he's a good football player. I am still an Elijah Moore believer.
Yeah. Yep.
I do have him. I might have traded him away.
Ooh.
No. I definitely traded for him. I traded. This is a draft trade, a dynasty trade that I feel like nobody's really won. I traded away Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
And I got, I believe, a 1st-round draft pick. I got Elijah Moore. This was last year, at the beginning of last year. And then I also got Darnell Mooney.
What's the 1st-round pick end up to be?
We haven't drafted yet.
Gotcha.
But
that'll be the decider.
I agree. But the whole time last year, I'm like, this was such a stupid trade.
Yeah.
Wait, how have you not drafted yet for Dynasty? That seems very late.
Yeah. This is with the people from Osimo who don't know how to do fucking anything. Calling you out on air. Pay me my money from last year.
That would make sense why it would be late if they don't know how to do anything.
They're just stupid and disorganized in every part of their business. But I digress. Their new logo's cool. It looks like a really nice gas station that I filled up at once. So that's awesome. Let's talk about
gas stations are great.
They are great. It looks like Speedway.
Yeah.
So Jerome Ford, I guess, do you view this? Oh, this is my thing then. So a lot of people will say when they do their handcuff rankings, there's going to be a lot of fantasy analysts that say Jerome Ford is one of the best handcuffs.
Sure.
I'm going to say he's not anywhere near the top.
Okay.
He won't make my rankings. If Nick Chubb goes down, I don't think he gets the bulk of the carries. I just don't see it. I don't think he's that kind of player.
Interesting.
Plus, I understand handcuffs are on, they're predicated on an injury happening. I've seen nothing to tell me Nick Chubb's going to get injured. Now, granted, this will be clipped the moment he tears his ACL week 1, of course, because, that's how it works. But, there's nothing to tell you Nick Chubb's going to go down. And, yeah, he's cool to have as a handcuff, but if you're not going to use him, if there's never really a chance to use him, it's just kind of a waste of a roster spot.
So just to talk this out, if let's say you end up with Nick Chubb in the start of the second round or whatever, you don't have a bounty on Jerome Ford.
No, I just don't see the point. Yeah. I would rather take somebody else's handcuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I just worst case scenario in that situation, then Nick Chubb gets hurt, and if he gets hurt, of course Ford's going to see an increase in value, but so he goes down. He's the running back 1. Are you going to put him in your flex? I don't think I am.
No, you're not. Of course you're not.
I might, but that's as high as he's going. Nobody's going to say he's an RB2.
So
no.
Okay, and just to bring it one more step further, sorry to interrogate you guys. Are you totally hands off of Ford then?
No.
Yeah, I'm not taking him.
It depends how deep your league is. If I want to be, it actually, you know what? No, because I know some of my friends are big on him. I'm into the mind games. If they really want him, I will take him early just to play mind games early. Whether that kills me or not, I don't care. I'm sending a message.
Interesting.
He is going as running back 59 in PPR leagues.
Okay, yeah, I'm not touching him.
Yeah, what are we doing? He's going just ahead of Gus Edwards.
Oh, tough.
I'm taking Gus Edwards over him every day of the week. What the hell?
There's your better handcuff.
Yeah,
Gus Edwards might be the RB1 there, too. J.K. Dobbins can't do anything.
He's going ahead of Zamir White, who, I think is technically the handcuff in Vegas.
Yeah, probably.
I'd rather have him for sure. He's going ahead of Zach Evans, who I think is more than a handcuff with the Rams. I think he's going to, see plenty of work. Pierre Strong, we can talk about him right now. Pierre Strong, I think, is in that third down role at the current moment if they don't sign Dalvin Cook. Because Ty Montgomery, former Packer, is a wide receiver again.
Yep.
For better or for worse, I think he was built to play the running back position. I thought that's where he has done his best work. Clearly his body hasn't, held up taking those hits, I guess. He keeps getting hurt. But he is listed as a wide receiver on the Patriots roster. He has been doing drills with the wide receivers. So that means it's Ramondre Stevenson there and it's Pierre Strong. And Pierre Strong is going to be that third down guy unless they bring somebody else in. People are drafting Pierre Strong as such right now. He is getting a lot of heat. I will say the Patriots have done only things that tell us that they want to bring in another running back. So I think we can pump the brakes a little bit, though.
It's just of course, new quarterback, a new offensive coordinator, whatever. But, and we all love him, but why doesn't Pierre Strong just do the same exact thing James White did?
Why doesn't he? Because James White's way better.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Not to the point of James White, but why isn't that how how the Patriots use him? Why wouldn't they do the exact same thing as that?
I mean, he's still he's a small, shifty guy, and people are like, oh, receiver. He's not really. He's not a route runner like James White is. So I think Dalvin Cook is a better receiver than Pierre Strong.
Sure.
Even though I criticized it, I think Leonard Fournette's a better receiver.
Okay, interesting.
Kareem Hunt, I don't know. But I think that's everyone's projecting him to be used in that James White role. He has certainly been drilled and trained this summer to do more of those things. So it makes sense. I think the Patriots would love it if he could fill that role. That's the role they're hoping he can fill. I'm just not fully convinced that he can do that yet. And I'm not convinced that Ty Montgomery doesn't go back and do that.
Right, which makes sense, right?
They're working out as a wide receiver. They're listing him as a wide receiver. that screams Patriots play him at running back.
That's a classic Belichick mind trick.
Yeah, like it's a mind trick that doesn't need to be done.
Right.
No one cares. The Jets would be like, oh my God, guess what? Ty Montgomery is working out with the wide receivers. No one cares.
Right.
But
Put him at fullback.
By the way,
sure.
Ty Montgomery was a Jet, wasn't he? At one point in his career? Am I just making that up?
I don't know. I know he was a Saint, and I know.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Well, my point being, if he was a Jet, that's 2 revenge Ty Montgomery games this year.
Great. It's going to be a big deal.
Did you guys know he's been married since 2017?
Okay. I didn't, but congrats.
He was a Jet in 2019. Packers, Ravens, Jets, Saints, Patriots.
God, he's on the Ravens. When was he? I'm sorry. When did he leave the Packers?
Left the Packers in 2018.
Shout out Ty Montgomery got married in Green Bay.
I'm going to guess he wasn't in Green Bay.
Well,
it is not. Wild that he's somehow still the best draft pick out of that draft class.
Yeah, I like Ty Montgomery. I'm still a believer for better or most likely for worse.
He's going to be awesome on Immaculate Grid in 5 years.
True. Other quick notes. Rashad Penny's been getting the running back reps with the starters in Philly. DeAndre Swift has been used as a pass catcher, doing a lot of receiving work. I think that's notable. However, that all goes down the drain when Rashad Penny gets hurt.
Yep.
Which I don't want to assume an injury, but like he's a good football player. If he stays healthy, he's going to be really good for fantasy. I just don't trust it.
He's going to get hurt.
Yeah, I'm a Rashad Penny guy. I've liked him since college. Like he's an awesome football player. But you're right. It's too much of my fantasy stock to put in for someone who's, disappointed. Not necessarily his fault, but has disappointed in fantasy over his whole career.
Yeah, I agree. Other running back news: Javonte Williams is practicing. He's going to be brought along slowly from everything Sean Payton's been saying, but he expects to go week 1. He's excited to hit people. He's been watching a lot of Alvin Kamara tape because apparently he's going to be used in a similar way in this offense. I talked about how much I liked him yesterday. I think I like him even more today.
Yeah.
He is currently getting drafted as running back 28. Again, right behind Isaiah Pacheco. I'm fine with having him as my running back 2 this year. Yeah. I'll be very happy if he's my running back 2.
Yeah, and we talked about it too yesterday, right? Broncos end with like the best, it was top 5 for running back schedules to go in fantasy playoffs. And I think I said, if like you said, bring him slowly along. You're probably not going to get 30 carries week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, anything like that, right? That just less tread on the tires for fantasy playoffs.
Well, on top of all that, like his ADP, his ADP is, at least to me, is that of somebody who's not going to be playing till week 5. To your point, he probably won't be getting 30 carries till, at least week 5, but he's going to be producing until then. So I don't see why he's RB28.
And just to add on top of that, Zach, you're a sucker, Trevor, you're a sucker for incredible value in drafts. Like Javonte Williams probably has a ceiling of RB1, and you can get him. Where do you say he's going in the RB30s, somewhere in there?
Mm-hmm. Running back 28, 71 overall.
Yeah, so you can get you can get there's a possibility Javonte Williams is an RB1 this year, and you can get that late in the draft. So that shouts excitement to me.
How good would you feel if your running back room for fantasy this year was Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, James Cook?
Great. I think I'd feel great.
I would feel a little dirty having a Bill in there, but overall I'd like it.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And again, so ADPs for those 3, it's 12 for Nick Chubb, it's 71 for Javonte Williams, and it's 80 for James Cook.
Yeah.
You can get a hell of a lot. You can get a hell of a lot of good receivers in that middle ground too.
If you do stuff like that, I'm fine with going Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes early.
Right, of course.
And you get those receivers to fill in as well. That's a really good start.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe I figure out where I am on James Cook. Like if I have running backs who can support my team, I love him. I love having him on my team. If I don't love James Cook.
Yeah, I'm not looking for him to be my running back 2 to start the year, but it wouldn't surprise me if he becomes that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess for anyone, when we get into draft season here, we'll talk about it more. And by the way, really quick plug, if you want to get a draft board, now's the time to get it, or your league's trophy, ring, championship belt. You can get like this championship necklace, like you.
Oh.
So I think what was it? Miami did the champ chain or whatever. Turnover chain. But yeah, the big thing like that. You can go to trophysmack.com and use promo code Flurry, FLURRY. If you buy a trophy, you get a free ring. So go do that. You can get a championship ring. You can get one of the best trophies. This trophy is from Trophy Smack there. And that's one of the more basic ones. You can get so much cool shit. Someone bought through our code today. They got a trophy for the loser. They got a toilet bowl trophy, which is cool. There's tons of options there. You can get wall art there. You can do a bunch of stuff. Trophysmack.com. Use promo code Flurry, FLURRY, to support the show.
Does it? I'll ask you the same thing I always ask you. Capitalization matter?
It does not. What was I talking about before that? I don't know either. It was a good point. It's too good of a segue. For dress. Okay, so draft strategy right now. Once you get into those mid rounds, everyone's just looking for not everyone. A lot of people are looking for high floor players. And not to criticize you completely, Trevor, but like you love Tyler Boyd, and people love Tyler Boyd in the late rounds. He's always a steal, and his ceiling is the same place as his floor. Like once I get into those mid to late rounds, I am looking for players who have kind of the boom bust potential, not on a week by week basis, but by a season basis. Like this guy might be droppable at some point, but they also could be a fantastic pickup. He could be a starter for me at some point. Someone like Zach Evans, running back 66, so he's basically going undrafted. It's not a stretch whatsoever to say he's the RB1 for the Rams after the bye week or something. Yeah. Like people like that. Gus Edwards, obviously, he's a handcuff with massive upside. Tajay Spears is another one. Roshan Johnson. People like that. Like, we need to stop drafting for high floor. We need to start drafting for high ceiling in those ranges. That's how you win. That's what you got to do.
I agree. I think you got to be smart about it, though. I think like the last 8 years, however long he's been in the NFL, I've drafted Mecole Hardman every year in that exact spot for that exact reasoning. And it's never worked. And I totally get because it's Mecole Hardman. Like I understand why it doesn't work, but it's just funny that you brought that up.
Well, that's a good example though, because you talk boom bust and Mecole Hardman's boom bust. He's boom bust on a week by week basis.
Right.
Like I don't see a scenario where he is a every week play. He's just
never,
not that type of body type.
Right. You're never going to go into a week and say I have to start Mecole Hardman this week.
No. There's just no shot with that.
Yeah.
And again, you're not drafting all players in the back half of your draft of boom bust. Have a mix, but
yeah, I agree. I like the high risk. Or not the high risk, the big reward.
Yeah, still risk. You got to risk.
Well, somewhat right.
We'll
Luke,
talk
you still
about
got me messed up. You said capitalization. I thought we were talking about capitalism here. I thought we had a whole crazy segment going on.
We can get into it if you want to. I love me some capitalism. Sorry about it. A lot of people don't. But we'll talk about draft lottery tickets, I'll call it, at some point before the draft. Those guys that are going undrafted or very, very late that could be awesome for fantasy this year. Low risk, high reward because of where they're being drafted. We'll do that. Other news things I have written down. Bill Belichick really praised Hunter Henry, and that usually goes a big way.
Rightfully so.
When Bill Belichick says it, he says he was one of the best in the offseason program. Did a lot of work there, and I think Hunter Henry is going to be used a lot in this offense. I think Gesicki is going to be used as well. But Hunter Henry, at one point was a player is like, oh, he's really, really good when he stays healthy. He just hasn't stayed healthy. Then last year he stayed healthy, but he wasn't used. So, like, that's another tight end if you are waiting or if you're in a 2 tight end league or someone like that. Like, he's a guy that I think will be fantasy relevant this year.
Yep.
That we need to look out for.
Speaking my language, I'm a sucker for Hunter Henry.
I can't do it because I hate him too much. Not as a person, seems like a fine person, but he just annoys me. But he's there.
We are recording a podcast. Stoof Curry. I can only imagine that's Steph's burner account, so thank you for joining us. This is Fantasy Football by Committee. We're just ending the podcast here. You can find Fantasy Football by Committee anywhere where you listen to podcasts. If you're listening to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Give us a 5-star review and share the show. Another thing you can do, go to Facebook and join the Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. And that is going to be the place to help you with your fantasy football league all year long. You can ask questions in there. You can answer questions in there. You can just hang out and read about the stuff that we post. We'll have our podcast in there. Everything. That's going to be the spot to help you win leagues this year. Thank you, Stoof.
No, it's Stoof.
But yeah, go and do that. Fantasy Football by Committee Facebook group. Share the show, rate the show. And if you are listening to the podcast and want to join us live so you can have your questions and comments read like Stoof Curry here, you can subscribe to the Flurry Sports Twitch or YouTube channels, and you can jump in the chat and ask us questions, and we will help you out live as well. And obviously that'll be super important once the fantasy season has started. All your start-sit questions, trade questions, waiver wire questions, we'll have specific shows for them all, and we will answer questions until we can't anymore.
Yep. Just speak on Facebook. I assume that I'll be in there a lot. You know that there's that episode of the league where Ruxin or Pete lets Ruxin set his lineup for him or whatever, and Ruxin's getting information from everyone. Like it kind of feels like a weird fantasy year. That's kind of how I'm going to be in the Facebook group this year.
I love it. I do like that. And I think there's going to be costumes with some of our shows too, if Zach Espinosa is watching.
Hell yeah.
I remember it didn't make much sense, but I was entertained by the thought. So I think we got to make sure that happens as well. I'll bid it. I'll do it. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, anything else before we get out of here?
I got a gripe with the MLB.
Oh,
I do.
Great. Same.
I don't think a sport can be impressive if like everybody knows somebody who's been signed by a team. Didn't Luke say just the other day that he has a family member that got drafted or whatever?
Yeah.
And then today my mom was like, a distant relative of yours that you've never met got signed by the Mariners as a free agent. I'm like, if everybody knows somebody signed to the MLB team, it's not impressive anymore.
It's a lot of players in each organization.
Well, I mean, we're in a dynasty league. You guys asked who this one guy is. He was a former MLB pitcher that I know.
Yeah.
He was on the Reddit, so that automatically he probably gave up a lot of home runs. So
a ton of players.
I mean, he's not in the league anymore, or in MLB anymore. But yeah,
well, clearly
I agree. Yeah, true. I agree. MLB sucks.
It's so easy to make it good though. It just continue to do the on-field interviews during the game for the players.
Mm-hmm.
That makes, I mean, it's worth watching for those alone.
I think the Savannah Bananas figured something out.
Yep.
Let's just do more of that.
Okay.
Fans catching foul balls needs to be a rule. Absolutely. Can you imagine World Series Game 7, some 3-year-old just bare hands a ball, everybody just mobs them?
So not to make this podcast any longer than it has to be, but Savannah Bananas, are they like the only team in, I don't even know what league they're in. Are they the only team that does wacko shit?
The Party Animals do. I think they play them most of the time.
They play them every game except for when they go around and tour and play people on the road.
So they're kind of like the Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Except I think they lose sometimes though, right? To them?
Yeah, they actually play.
Sure. Right.
Yeah. Globetrotters, unstoppable.
Yeah.
Bro, if we had the Savannah Bananas rules, Steve Bartman wouldn't have had to go into hiding. So
Chicago fucking crucified that guy, man.
Chicago's a godforsaken city. Yeah. Nothing good has come out of Chicago.
I mean, we're not wrong there. We'll end it there. So this was Fantasy Football by Committee. We'll be back next week, I believe, at some point. Again, put your notifications on, subscribe so you don't miss any shows. I might start doing a bunch of shorter shows like I did last week with the Chiefs. With training camp going on, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. So I'm going to have to be in front of the mic a lot more. I apologize in advance. But don't want to miss it, then subscribe. And we'll be back next week. For sure, Wednesday and Thursday, live. Other days, unsure.